I think we're ready.
Let's do this.
Hey, you have arrived at the destination. Pot Smoking Moms Podcast is where you're at. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sunny D along with my homegirl, Captain J.
Hello, hello.
If you're a fan or if you just enjoy the show, please rate, review, subscribe, share our content, and be friends with us on all our social medias. PotSmokingMoms.com is our website. Everything is there. You can jump on our become a patron and get these ear goodies delivered to you early. Sooner. Some would say no.
And uncut, longer versions of our interviews.
Of all the interviews, yeah. And just quirky, fun, pot smoking mom extra content. So please, please, please check out our Patreon. It's on our website. What are we smoking today?
I think we're both smoking the same today, aren't we? I packed myself a bowl of MK Ultra.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, shoot. I left my lighter over there.
Oh, look, I have here. You can use yours first and then hand it over to me.
Okay. Oh,
cheers.
No, I still need my Moose Lab. I'm sorry. I can't.
Oh,
I'll cough up a lung and won't be able to talk.
All right. So then I will start in and then you can follow, right?
I already got it.
You got it.
Nice.
That is nice. If you're at home, we hope you're smoking with us. I mean, if you can, that is.
Or I saw a cool little tip on TikTok the other day, and I was like, let me share this on our Instagram. I saw mom say this, and I was like, I've never thought of doing that. If you grocery shop alone, listen to a podcast as you grocery shop.
Well, that's very interesting.
Take in some headphones and listen to us, and maybe you could just hit your vape pen in between aisles.
Oh, yeah. That sounds nice. We got a really fun interview coming up. Tokes with Stacy. She will be joining us. And it's lots of fun. She has 2 podcasts. One is about TV reality shows.
I connected with her on that. And Z does not watch any reality.
I don't. But it was very fun being a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But I was not. I'm like, you guys really were like kicked it off.
Yeah, because she watches the few ones that I keep up with. Yeah.
So very interesting. If you're into TV reality shows, we'll be talking about some of our favorites a little later on on the show. And 710 Dab Day, we went to this event. We had talked about it on our podcast.
No, it was on a live that we talked about it.
The Dab Day?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we talked about going.
Oh, yes.
On the podcast.
Yeah. We didn't give an update.
We haven't told them
how the event was.
Experience.
Our experience. Yes, exactly.
Well, what would you say about the experience?
It was nice to get out and be with you ladies downtown and be out and about. But I do feel, to me, I was a little overwhelmed with how many people were there. Yeah. We didn't get to use any of the games or any of the indoor activities.
Yeah, we didn't really get to do anything other than be there and smoke, and like we met a couple people there.
That was the best part.
A few people.
Was when we met people.
Yeah, but it was
too crowded to really get to the vendors to see each table.
Right. The space was too small. There was too many people. I mean, it's just out
of our element, I feel like.
Yeah, but immediately, because we haven't been in that atmosphere in a while, and just because we're moms and like I don't think that's like our jam anymore.
I just think since we were guests instead of vendors, it was a different experience for us because we didn't feel that way about CannaFest, and it's essentially the same thing. It was a bunch of vendors all put together. Yeah. Except CannaFest did have better music and like
everything was separate.
That's
another thing. Okay. The music
was
look. I don't understand why, but this is the thing with 420 Fest too. Why does every marijuana event, cannabis event, have to have reggae music like almost exclusively. Like, why?
They started it with like 90s hip hop.
Yeah, we heard a little Tupac when we got in.
And stuff I was vibing with that.
And then it was like straight reggae the rest of the night.
A little reggae is cool in between other stuff, but all night.
But the whole
the rest of the night.
fucking night?
At least while we were there. I don't know if things...
It was, nobody was like... Yeah, nobody was feeling that.
But we did get to meet some friends, so that was fun. We got to hang out with JoJo and what is it?
Jordan from
Jordan.
TikTok.
Yeah, she goes, JoJo, say hi. Is her name?
Say hi, JoJo, right?
Or say hi,
on
JoJo.
Instagram or something?
And La Beauty. What's her name on Instagram?
J Phoenix, I think.
Phoenix J or J Phoenix? Yeah. And then her friend.
Yeah. And then we talked to people at the Flowery.
Yes, which was nice.
Yeah, very interesting.
That was the only vendor that we really got to have any conversations with.
And it was only because I was talking to Emma prior to going and saying, hey, we had emailed back and forth. And then I was like, hey, you're going to be here? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. You there?
I'm upset I didn't go back there for my succulent. I wanted to take a little succulent. They were giving out cute little succulaents.
Not the kind of succulents.
I think it would have been better if there would have been better entertainment, better food options, and less people. Or larger space. Or larger space for all those people.
Right. And seriously, I don't understand the lack of food trucks. I really don't. I mean, and honestly, I think it's kind of frustrating, a lack of better planning on their part.
Jordan, she got VIP. She got VIP with the meal,
and she didn't get a fucking meal.
She didn't even get her meal because they sold out.
They're being cool. I'm sure they're giving her money back for whatever.
Yeah, they reimbursed.
And they were, I mean, had made a post. It wasn't a mean post on Instagram, just basically saying like, this was not our thing. Like, this wasn't great. Maybe other people. And Dab Day reached out and they were like, hey, a lot more people showed up than we expected. But like, it was also $32. So that kind of fucking and $32 plus the ride to get there, it's
right there and
it's
back.
Kind of a mission.
We did Uber, yeah.
It is kind of a mission for people our age, for people in our stage. That's just not our vibe, I think.
It's not our jam.
I honestly, it was a good idea to go to get an idea of what we want to do. I would like to plan an event, but I would like to do something kind of
smaller scale, a
little elegant, a little
more value for your
right. Because ultimately,
I really like the brunch idea.
Money. I don't mind paying money,
for a legit infused brunch,
right? A legit
with
infused
baker,
right? Or and like. None of this fucking pujilateo of having to wait in a line for the thing.
No, I think it should be a sit down.
I think it should be a sit down right.
You have tables, you have your spot. It would be
and
cute.
You get treated like you're
it'd be cute
human.
You know how you sign. How it's kind of, I don't know if you've ever been to like a conference or something like that when you go and you sign them.
And they give you like a badge.
They give you a little badge, so you have to put your name. So you could put your Instagram handle or whatever. You could put your name, whatever you want people to call you, and then maybe what area you're from, so you could connect with other moms there.
Yeah,
maybe make it, or other ladies there, make it a ladies brunch thing.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. So we just need to hunker down a location. We have we're gonna be in Sarasota. We have one of our patrons, Terry, is setting a nice thing out there.
Yes, we're in conversation.
And maybe we're going to talk to her. Maybe we kind of check out, participate, do our thing and see and do. And then maybe, just more resources we can.
Yeah. She has some ideas already that she wants to share with us.
So we'll figure something out and we'll do something kind of a little more, I don't know. How would you call it? A little more.
I definitely want to do something out here locally in our area and then also with Terry out there.
Right, for sure. But even if we don't plan... Because her thing is going to be in September, I believe.
That's what you said she wanted.
Which is pretty close.
Yeah. That's
so if we
really
plan something after that, at least this is kind of, we get a little more experience here at this event too.
Yeah.
Right. And see because I was thinking we were going to do dabs. We didn't even do fucking dabs.
I mean, I gave you the opportunity several times and you chickened out.
Because I don't know, I wasn't feeling the vibe for that. I don't know.
I was like, look, right here, they have rigs set up. You have to have your own product,
right? And I have brought some stuff, and then they were
pressing
it.
Yeah, they had they were pressing rosin there, right there.
Yeah, I don't know. There's too many people. It was not.
I really wanted to get to the psychedelics tent. I heard there was a psychedelics tent.
I know, but I also saw exactly. It was swarmed
full of people.
Exactly.
And I'm still apprehensive about being in crowds. Like I don't want to be.
Right.
We kept walking around and finding little pockets of space where there were less people.
You guys fucking made fun of me because you're like, every time we turn around, you just go to a spot where there's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's usually next to a garbage. And I'm like, well, what do we
No, I think we were all essentially doing that. I just wanted to be not by the trash can. Yeah. And a spot where there was still some kind of breeze, because some of the little pockets were like in corners where there was no breeze. It was so hot.
Yeah, it was crazy hot too. That's another thing of like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't use any of the games inside. We're just so paranoid about so many fucking
we
people
should have
everywhere.
tried more about going inside and trying to do one of the games. It would have been fun to do like the laser tag or something. But I think we were just not.
We were so overwhelmed with there being so many fuckers out there.
Yeah.
This is like too many. Some people were out
there. The line
too.
when we got there was humongous. I saw that line and I was like, OMG. I can't believe.
Well, first of all, let me talk about this really quick, okay? Because so my neighbor, I had talked about her before, how like I texted her that we were pot smoking moms, and she was like, "Oh my god, me too." And this was kind of like I kind of jumped into the telling her about the Pot Smoking Moms podcast immediately when I met her. She came out with us. So this is the first time she had ever done anything in a new state that she lives in now.
She's from New Jersey. This is the neighbor that Dee's mentioned before.
Yeah, I should have her on the podcast because it was like really an interesting situation where I was very open with her.
Yeah.
And she was like,
and then she told us about that friend that ended up seeing the picture.
Yeah,
tell.
So we took a picture out at the event and we posted it and we tagged her back. And her friend, who she knew when she lived in New Jersey, was like,
saw it because she follows us.
She follows us, yeah. And she was like, how was the event?
She's like, I wish you would, that she wish you would have known that she was pot smoking mom when she lived there, because they could have been smoking together.
So that missed opportunity. She could have, which it's always like, very weird and awkward. And how do you approach saying or the pot smoking thing? I think a lot
especially
of times,
when you like the person, you don't want to scare them away, because like your kids like each other, you like hanging out with them, they're a cool person, you're like, oh, let me not like yet, until you know for sure. So maybe that's why people are a little more apprehensive, but you're missing opportunities sometimes.
I know,
because usually if they're a cool person, even if they don't smoke, they're not going to judge about it. They shouldn't,
right? But even if they do judge, then you get the vibes right away. You know what they're about. And then you're like, I don't have to spend time building a relationship with you. So it's like, I don't know. At this point in my life, we're old. We're too old to be around people we don't enjoy being around.
Exactly.
So it's like, if you open with it, it's not a, you have to talk about it. Was it when we were like, do you smoke? And then they say, smoke what?
Smoke what?
And then you're like, oh, yeah. All right.
That's right.
Okay.
You got it right.
But, I know, and especially in states where it's not legal, it could be kind of
I think that's
hard.
The thing, mostly in states where it's not legal. But she was in Jersey.
And I the thing is, and then what followed up was, you just legalized it out there. And I was like, and you just moved here? I was like, well, it's medical. So she's like, okay, I'll go get the card. And she got the card. So she was like freaking out about the thing too. So we're in the Uber.
Oh God!
And
I forgot my phone at home.
A little bit. She forgot her phone, so she's kind of freaking out about that.
I'm telling them not to let me.
We're
get
a little
kidnapped
bit anxious because we're in an Uber
with a stranger.
Who's driving us to Miami. And then she's like talking about kidnapping, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just trying to navigate to make sure he's taking us to the location, because I'm a freaking paranoid like that.
Because he started going a different way, so you thought because of the way he was going, right?
Right.
He got off at Okeechobee.
It was a legit way. I remember
that
way, but I was just like, let me just make sure, and then whatever. Just a precaution.
I'm sure he's taking us to
and
our
then,
destination,
and then I'm like,
not
oh,
to murder us.
But then you say kidnapping, and I'm like, oh God, she's talking about kidnapping, giving this guy ideas or something. And then we're in the line, and I don't really remember what it was, but my neighbor starts talking about some other traumatic experience, and I was just like, can you guys stop being so dark and like, please, let's start. So then I start talking about oh, we should be so grateful about being in a line, because when was the last time we were in a line because of the pandemic? And that wore off immediately because we were like, it's fucking hot as balls and we're in a fucking line. So, you know, the honeymoon was short for that one, that reaction. But, you know, whatever. We live, learn, love, laugh, and all that other good stuff.
I just think our events will probably be smaller, more intimate kind of gatherings to start, at least.
And because I can't do all that either.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's a lot of work. I mean, look, I'm going to give my respect to the 710 Zap Day people.
Yeah.
But because it's a lot of
put an event
work
together.
and to a lot of back end stuff, and it's a headache. And then but I don't want it to be like fucking.
And then we walked to the joint of Miami.
Oh my God! And then we
walked the wrong
joint.
way for like 2 minutes, so that added an extra 2 minutes to our walk.
Right, my maps. Remember, your phone
Jenny was about
missing.
to kill us. She's like, "Are we really doing this?"
We were so confused. We're like,
now?
We can go home right now, or we can check out this other event space.
Yeah, we're like, let's go check out the joint Miami. A friend of ours said he was going to put us on the list. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. We walked there for nothing.
Yeah, that trick
asshole. And then it was like a $20 cover to get in, and we're like,
oh my God, no,
we're not paying
it was
anything
like,
else.
We
walked here for nothing.
Yeah. Wasn't
to take a picture in front of it.
In front of the yeah, we're not using that picture. It looks kind of weird. And then the $20 entry fee, and I mean, okay, they might have been go-go dancers.
They were go-go
whatever.
dancers.
Fine. But
half naked go-go dancers.
They were.
That's how they dress.
It's a strip joint. Also, the strip joint. That place.
No,
is a strip
it's
club
not
too.
the joint of my. It's not a strip club.
Yes, there's pictures of that place like in full strip club mode. It may not always be a strip club, but it has been a strip club.
Do you know that?
And probably sometimes.
Do you realize that a lot of Miami clubs have dancers like that? That just
I know.
Dance.
I know.
But they're
and
not
a lot of
taking their
clubs
clothes off.
Also double up as strip clubs. I don't know.
Okay.
I just got a lot of strip club
friend,
vibes.
Is it a strip club?
Our friend, the one who got us in on the list, that guy? No, I'm not relying on any of those sources anymore. Free Britney.
She just had her next hearing. They had a hearing again. And a few people petitioned the court to allow her to choose her own attorney. We had heard about her. I think his name is Matthew Rosengart is the name of the attorney. And he was recommended to her by Madonna. There's rumors that she's actually paying for it too. That Madonna is paying for this attorney.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how true that is, but it is confirmed that it was Madonna that got Britney in touch with this attorney. So now this guy has taken over, and he's gonna hopefully he helps her get out. Right now he's just got to get caught up, obviously, on everything that's happened over the last 13 years. Has to look at how the conservatorship was even started and all that stuff.
But he's working directly for her.
For Britney.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And have you checked her social medias out lately? It looks like she has her social. Like it looks like she is in charge of her social media.
Fuck you to her family.
Yes. Do you remember how her sister came out and was like trying to?
I just want her to be happy.
Right, with the fake crocodile tears. How she tried to wipe away a tear, but she had nothing on her face.
You know, her sister's one of the co-conservators, like trustees on the.
Oh yeah, but this post on Instagram. She lets all of them have it, and it sounds like it's directly.
Read it.
So the picture on Britney Spears' Instagram says, "Never forget who ignored you when you needed them and who helped you before you even had to ask." Okay, powerful words. But she goes in
the caption.
She says, "There's nothing worse than when the people closest to you who never showed up for you post things in regard to your situation, whatever it may be, and speak righteously for support." There's nothing worse than that. How dare the people you love the most say anything at all? Did they even put a hand out to even lift me up at the time? How dare you make it public that now you care? Did you put your hands out when I was drowning? Again, no. So if you're reading this and you know who you are, oh shit. So if you're reading this and you know who you are, you actually have the nerve to say anything about my situation just to save face for yourself publicly, if you're gonna post something Please stop with the righteous approach when you're so far from righteous it's not even funny. She put a bunch of middle finger emojis.
Yeah.
And she says, and have a good day. P.S. If you're reading this today and you can relate, I'm sorry because I know what it's like and I send you my love. Aw.
Yeah, it sounds like at least she has control of her Instagram again.
Look,
or
and she posted
working.
something else 18 minutes ago that is
shit.
like
I haven't seen
crazy
that.
off the rails. I mean, not crazy off the rails, but just like her.
It's obvious
saying,
it's not that fake shit that's been coming out before. It's more about what's that one say? What is it? Oh my God.
Okay, it says, so the picture says, I'm just reading this now too.
Okay.
Take me as I am, or kiss my ass, eat shit, and step on Legos.
Oh my God. They're doing this to try to make her look aggressive.
I don't know. So then she says,
I don't know if this is real.
So then
now.
she says, for those of you who choose to criticize my dancing videos, look, I'm not going to be performing on any stages anytime soon with my dad handling what I wear, say, do, or think. I've done that for the past 13 years. I'd much rather share videos, yes, from my living room instead of on stage in Vegas where some people were so far gone they couldn't even shake my hand and I ended up getting a contact high from weed all the time.
What?
Which I don't mind, but it would have been nice to be able to go to the motherfucking spa. And no, I'm not going to put on heavy makeup and try on stage again and not be able to do the real deal with remixes of my songs for years and begging to put my new music in my show for my fans. So I quit. I don't like that my sister showed up. Oh, I keep clicking back. I don't like that my sister showed up. Fuck, I lost my spot. Hold on. I don't like that my sister showed up at an awards show and performed my songs to remixes. My so-called support system hurt me deeply. This conservatorship killed my dreams. So all I have is hope, and hope is the only thing in this world that is very hard to kill. Yet people still try. I didn't like the way the documentaries bring up humiliating moments from the past. I'm way past all that and have been for a long time. And for women who say it's weird the way I still have hope for fairy tales, go fuck yourself with a middle finger emoji. As I said, hope is all I have right now. You're lucky I post anything at all. If you don't like what you see, unfollow me. People try to kill hope because hope is one of the most vulnerable and fragile things there is. I'm gonna go read a motherfucking fairy tale now. If you don't want to see my precious ass dancing in my living room or it's not up to your standards, go read a fucking book. Wow.
Whoa.
That was 18 minutes ago. I'm sure people are going to make TikToks all about it.
Oh, that's just going to be all over TikTok. Do you think it's really her?
Man.
Or do you think they're trying to
that's pretty
make it seem like it's her because now that she's come out against the conservatorship,
I think it's
I don't know.
I mean, listen, what's real and what's fake anymore? Like, life is a really funny place right now. But I mean, it might be her. Listen, the Amanda Bynes thing to me was another thing that I was obsessed with, and she was going off the rails on her social media.
Yeah.
And then she had a relapse, and then so I don't know. It could be her. I mean, she's super pissed, obviously.
Yeah. She's
been silenced, so she's even more mad because she hasn't been able to ever speak up for herself or say anything. So, who knows? Intense. And we'll continue to follow up on those developments.
Well, the next hearing, I don't think it's until September, so it's going to be some time. Yeah. Unless something comes up like
any post on her Instagram. We're all just going to be watching what she does right now. Because if that's for real and she has, I was looking at her boyfriend's page too. He's amazing. He's hot.
He's super hot.
But he looks kind of like a robot. He looks so perfect. He looks like a robot.
Yeah.
And what's real? It's like a fucking The Truman Show.
Oh.
So if you're listening to this on Wednesday when we do the release of the podcast, we do go live on Instagram at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we usually go on with if we can get our guests that was on the show, we go live with them. So if today is Wednesday, when you're listening to the podcast, please join us 9 p.m. Eastern on Instagrams.
Yeah.
And this next one goes out to all of you, I don't know, listening. Bringing you the news after they already probably brought you the news.
News you've heard, you're hearing again. This is like pretty much the biggest story in cannabis this week. Here are the full details of the new federal marijuana legalization bill from Chuck Schumer and Senate colleagues.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming. So today is a big day in the Senate. For the first time, I, as Majority Leader, Senator Wyden as the Chairman of the Finance Committee, and Senator Booker, one of the foremost champions for justice and equity here in the Senate, we are all joining together to release draft legislation to end the federal prohibition on cannabis. This is monumental because at long last, we are taking steps in the Senate to right the wrongs of the failed war on drugs.
Monumental. So the first draft of a long-anticipated Senate bill to federally legalize marijuana has been released, and its sponsors are asking for public input to further improve the legislation before it is formally introduced. Yay! That means contact your senators. Let them know what you think about this, what you think should be changed or added. So this, as you heard in the clip, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden, and Senator Cory Booker unveiled the draft at a press conference on Wednesday, July 14th. It's an extensive bill titled the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act. The main features of the legislation largely align with what advocates and stakeholders expected. It would federally deschedule cannabis, expunge prior convictions, allow people to petition for resentencing, maintain the authority of states to set their own marijuana policies, and remove collateral consequences like immigration-related penalties for people who've been criminalized over the plant. Cannabis prohibition, a key pillar of a failed war on drugs, has caused substantial harm to our communities and small businesses, and especially for communities of color, Wyden said. It's as simple as this. Senators Booker, Schumer, and I want to bring common sense to the federal government, end prohibition, and restore the lives of those hurt most and set them up for opportunity. The war on drugs has too often been a war on people, and particularly people of color, Schumer said. Not only will this legislation remove cannabis from the federal list of controlled substances, but it will also help fix our criminal justice system, ensure restorative justice, protect public health, and implement responsible taxes and regulations.
Booker, for his part, said that for decades, our federal government has waged a war on drugs that has unfairly impacted low-income communities and communities of color. While red and blue states across the country continue to legalize marijuana, the federal government continues to lag woefully behind, he said. It is time for Congress to end the federal marijuana prohibition and reinvest in communities most impacted by the failed war on drugs. The bill would also impose a federal tax on marijuana products and put some of that revenue toward grant programs meant to support people from communities most impacted by prohibition who want to participate in the industry. Further, the legislation would transfer regulatory authority over cannabis from the Drug Enforcement Administration to the federal
from the DEA to the FDA.
Yeah, to the Food and Drug Administration. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. There's a lot of ground to cover on the proposal, and while the senators are confident that it addresses key concerns from stakeholders, advocates, public health officials, and law enforcement alike, they recognize that this is not the final form the bill will take. To end that, a public comment period is open until September 1st. The bill is multifaceted and deals with a large number of complex issues that have arisen under the umbrella of federal prohibition.
So, basic components. Perhaps the most immediately consequential provision would be a requirement that the Attorney General remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act within 60 days of the bill's enactment. But it's most important to keep in mind that this legislation, like other federal legalization bills running through Congress, would not make it so marijuana is legal in every state. The proposal specifically preserves the rights of the states to maintain prohibition if they weigh. That sucks. It stipulates, for example, that shipping marijuana into a state where the plant is prohibited would still be federally illegal. However, the measure would also make it clear that states can't stop businesses from transporting cannabis products across their borders to other states where the plant is permitted. Yeah, because that would make shit real complicated if you have to freaking go around states that are illegal just because you can't go through their state.
But isn't that how?
No, they're saying it's going to be allowed. Like, they'll still be able to go through the state, but you can't, like, ship to somebody in that state because it's not legal in that state. So the FDA would be recognized as the primary federal regulatory authority with respect to the manufacture and marketing of cannabis products, including requirements related to minimum national good manufacturing practice, product standards, registration and listing, and labeling information related to ingredients and directions for use, according to the summary. Meanwhile, TTB would have jurisdiction over marijuana tax and trade practices. That would include cannabis tax, revenue collection, tax law enforcement, and tracking and tracing of marijuana products. The agencies would have dual jurisdiction related to certain aspects of cannabis product labeling and packaging, advertising, and other consumer information.
I'm so afraid of taxing. We're going to be paying out the ass for that shit.
I know.
I really hope that, I don't know.
The feds are going to want their cut.
Yeah.
The
that's
taxes
the scary
are
part.
coming up.
Have you seen the responses that we've gotten on some of the posts about this whole thing? I feel like it's a lot of growers. I don't know if you've noticed, but I feel like it's a lot of growers who just don't want the regulatory bullshit, and they're just like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Because they're just, because it doesn't sound like they have any suggestions or ideas on how, they're just like, fuck this shit. You know what I mean? They're like, this is going to suck. And we're just like, okay, can we like try to make it happen and maybe influence what happens?
Suck?
I mean, I know it's going to suck to some extent. It's the government after all. What can you expect?
Yeah.
Right? But anywho, social equity. As promised, the senators are including language into the bill that would promote social justice for those who have been disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. Communities that have been most harmed by cannabis prohibition are benefiting the least from the legal marijuana marketplace. The findings section of the bill says, noting that a legacy of racial and ethnic injustices compounded by the disproportionate collateral consequences of 80 years of cannabis prohibition enforcement now limits participation in the industry. Historically disproportionate arrest and conviction rates make it particularly difficult for people of color to enter the legal cannabis marketplace, as most states bar these individuals from participating. Right, which is fucked up because it's like, oh, I got arrested for fucking selling weed, but now
weed's legal,
and all these fucking white people are making money off all this weed, and I can't even participate in that situation no more. It's just like and I know somebody who had to get a caretaker because he can't do it legally because he was locked up for it. So stupid. A key barrier for such individuals is that fact that people from communities of color have been most targeted by cannabis criminalization.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that use is comparable across races. The bill seeks to repair that harm by mandating each federal district to expunge arrests and convictions for nonviolent marijuana offenses within 1 year, and it also allows people who are still under a criminal sentence for cannabis to obtain a resentencing review hearing.
Grants. So there would be 3 grant programs established under the bill. One would fund nonprofits that would provide services to individuals adversely impacted by the war on drugs, such as job training, re-entry services, and legal aid, among other services. It would be distributed through a new cannabis justice office under the Justice Department. The other grant would be provide funding to eligible states and localities to make loans to assist small businesses in the cannabis industry owned by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals through the SBA, the Small Business Administration. Finally, the Equitable Licensing Grant Program would provide funding to eligible states and localities to implement cannabis licensing programs that minimize barriers for individuals adversely affected by the war on drugs. To be eligible for the SBA grants, states and localities must take steps to create an automatic process to expunge criminal records for cannabis offenses and violations for individuals under criminal supervision for cannabis offenses. Damn, it seems like they're really trying with
outreach and social equity or whatever. But so this would be like across the board, right? So then
basically the taxes that you're complaining about, which is going to be annoying,
right? I mean, it's going to be
some of that's going to fund these grants,
right? Which, and honestly, small businesses. Shit, I mean, it would be a beautiful world to have legalized marijuana where there's small businesses and there's craft growers farms, and Jesus, that would be a dream.
Quality would go up.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as much price would probably go up too, but but that would be amazing. But what I was trying to get to is, so would this override the fucking system that's in place here, and then vertical integration would be
no. The bill's basically saying the states keep the laws how they have it already. It's up to the states to do what they want. It's just now it's no longer, you don't have to worry about it, the federal side. It's federally legal now. And because of that, now it's part of FDA and ATF and all this. So now you have to pay these taxes on it. So now they're paying a federal tax. Because I think they do kind of pay some kind of federal tax already on it. I'm not sure how that works since it's technically federally legal, how these cannabis companies pay their taxes or even pay their payroll taxes. I don't know any of that stuff, any of the banking side of cannabis. I'm sure that's very complicated.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, please. My brain just went, you see the meme with like all of the different mathematical equations in their face? Like, no. You're like, whoa, I don't know, I want to think about this. This is me. Consumer rights. People could not be denied federal benefits due to the use or possession of marijuana or for a conviction for a cannabis offense. That includes preventing the revocation of security clearances for federal employees. However, one component of the new bill that advocates have taken issue with, which has been previously included in past reform legislation, would let agencies continue to include cannabis for purposes of drug testing for federal employees.
That doesn't make sense. They just said that it denies federal benefits. I don't know. I'm confused.
Federal benefits, but not.
Oh, okay.
People could not be denied federal benefits due to the use or possession of marijuana. So this is if you're benefiting from any federal programs.
Okay, but then to be a federal employee, you still can't.
Yeah, you're
That's
still.
So stupid.
It's still. Additionally, the measure would authorize physicians with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to issue recommendations for medical cannabis to veterans. That's another topic that's been the focus of separate standalone legislation in recent sessions. Marijuana Moment is already tracking more than 1,100 cannabis.
Oh, wait, no, you don't have to read this.
Oh, well, but you know what? Marijuana Moment, we do get
yes, this story is from Marijuana Moment,
and
yes, they track all sorts of bills and stuff.
Yeah,
so that was like a little advertisement for you to sign up for their $25 thing.
Yeah, which I mean, hey, a shout out to Marijuana Moment.
Yeah, thanks for keeping us informed.
Yeah.
So taxes and permits, I did not include all of this. I just included the taxes information part because we did talk about how it's going to be taxed, and I figured this part would be interesting. So gradual federal tax rate would be imposed on marijuana sales starting at 10% for the first year after the bill's enactment and the first subsequent calendar year. Then it would be increased annually, rising from 15% to 20% to 25%. Starting in the fifth year post-enactment, the tax would be a per ounce or per milligram of THC amount determined by the Secretary of the Treasury, equal to 25% of the prevailing price of cannabis sold in the United States in the prior year. Woo. So yeah, so it looks like it's going to go from 10 to 25% over the years. So in an effort to support small cannabis enterprises, the legislation says that small cannabis producers with less than $20 million in sales annually would be eligible for a 50% reduction in their tax rate via a tax credit. So yeah. Taxes. That's what the taxes on top of the state taxes and the county taxes.
Taxes on taxes on taxes on taxes. Federal studies. Fuck. Took long enough. I mean, I figured it would have been people doing private. Do you think people did private studies and now that it's going to be legalized, they can come out and be like, yo, we did this study already?
I don't know.
Is that possible?
Maybe.
I mean, it wouldn't be like they'd have to.
I have no idea.
Just a thought. Federal studies. The bill further directs the Government Accountability Office to facilitate a number of studies into marijuana policy. The office must conduct a review of federal laws, regulations, and policies to identify additional areas in need of change, including a study on replacing the term marijuana and marijuana with cannabis through the U.S. Code and Regulations.
Yeah.
The summary says, it must also study the demographics of those with federal cannabis convictions. GAO would also have to evaluate the societal impact of legalization in states with recreational marijuana laws on the books.
Additionally, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, would need to compile demographic data on business owners and employees in the cannabis industry. Those figures could help inform social justice efforts, as there has been widespread criticism of the industry over lack of diversity despite advocates' push for equity. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, would be required to work with National Institutes of Health on ways to promote research into cannabis impacts. And meanwhile, HHS would be mandated to collaborate with the U.S. Department of Transportation on data collection for marijuana impaired driving. We already know how they're working on that in another bill. While also supporting research into an impairment standard for driving under the influence of cannabis.
Right, because for sure, man, that is going to be so interesting to see what the results of that study is going to be.
They're going to say it's completely safe.
They're going to say...
No, they're not going to say that.
They're going to say we should start using these subjects to determine how fast they should be speeding. For sure.
Yay. So let's see what happens with this bill. Let's see how it changes. Because it's definitely going to change, I'm sure. Do you think it's going to happen?
And I mean, everybody,
like,
I think so. I think we're starting, and we were talking about this. I mean, it's obvious. They need to start putting things and regulating things. I mean, it's just kind of a wild, wild west. And it's going to be like that for a really long time. But I feel like at least we can get the, research going. I just keep thinking about all the people who are bitching about it. And you're just like, well, you're never going to fucking be happy with anything. But, talk to your leaders and tell them how you want to shape, mold. We need to get a couple more resources up for you so people can have easy access to it. But we need to let them know what's up.
What's up?
What's up? What is up locally?
I love you, Miami!
It's not exactly locally, but it's affecting.
I mean, it's pretty fucking local.
It's
so
local to
local
us.
that it's our
affecting
people. It's our people.
Look, you drive around my neighborhood, all you see are Cuban flags.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit far removed from Cuba in the sense that, growing up, it was my parents' stance was we don't have that many family members out there, and they're we're not feeding communism. We're not going to vacation there. We're not going to give the communist government, the money. So it was always off the table. It wasn't anything that we...
Yeah. There's ways to vacation there without it going to the government, but not recently because things got cracked down even more and there was no more travel allowed there anymore. But when my family went there to visit, and they didn't stay in any of the hotels or anything, because that is feeding to the regime. Those are government run and they make the money off of that. But they stayed at local Airbnbs. They were staying with families in their homes, and they would cook them breakfast in the morning, and have breakfast with them. So they were really meeting Cuban locals and staying there, and that helps them, the people, which is who needs the help. And unfortunately, things have been bad there for a long time, over 60 years, and even before then.
Yeah, and it's a breaking point now.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, the anti-government protests in Cuba have invigorated our communities here locally in Miami. While officials on the island have been working to hide what's happening there and the demonstrations and stuff, Cubans here in Miami have taken to the streets every single night to protest. I live in Hialeah, and every night 49th Street is packed with protesters.
Yeah, I mean, I just driving up here into this area, you could see everybody's flags are up.
On their cars, all the cars have Cuban flags waving on them.
Yeah, so it's pretty, the tensions are high and everybody's out there.
So this clip is actually from NPR, All Things Considered. So it's just a little 4-minute clip that tells the story well.
Okay, here it goes.
This week has seen unprecedented protests in Cuba against the government of President Miguel Diaz-Canel. Cubans are upset over the nation's poor economy, over food and fuel shortages, and they're also demanding greater freedoms from their government. These protests have also invigorated the Cuban diaspora around the world, especially in Miami. People there have been taking to the streets each night to make their voices heard, as NPR's Adrian Florido reports.
There have been demonstrations across Miami, but the main ones have been outside the city's most storied Cuban restaurant, Café Versalles. Each night, hundreds of people have come to wave Cuban flags and chant Libertad, freedom. Marieli Reyes left Cuba 7 years ago, frustrated with the communist government she once supported and that her parents still do, but that she decided offered her daughters no future. Communism has always taught us equality, Reyes says, but in Cuba that equality doesn't exist. She says officials there live well, but the rest of the population is struggling more than ever for food and medicine. Her friend, Yanei Padron, says now that Cubans have shed their fear of arrest and repression to start protesting, Cubans off the island have to support them. They have to know we're with them, she says, that they aren't alone. From here, that's all we can do. Miami has always been the center of opposition to Cuba's communist revolution, a bastion for conservatives who've waited more than 6 decades for the government to fall. But those 6 decades have also changed the Cuban-American community in nuanced ways. At these protests, the views are as diverse as the Cuban diaspora itself. Some people, like Maura Caridad Rodriguez Perez, want to see a U.S. military intervention. Some people say an intervention will kill people, Rodriguez says, but people are already dying at the hands of the government. Other protesters, like Gabriela Gutierrez, say that is not the solution.
I don't agree with military intervention because I feel like Cuba deserves a chance for Cubans to actually decide what they want and to make a country for themselves.
Gutierrez is a student at Florida International University and president of Students for a Free Cuba. She says despite their differences, this week's protests have united Cubans, young and old, those who fled for the U.S., those born here, conservatives like her parents, and liberals like her.
In the Cuban cause, we can all come under one shared idea that we want Cuba free.
Michael Bustamante is a professor of history at Florida International University.
There's certainly not entirely, but a general agreement in the Cuban diaspora in the United States that things need to change in Cuba, that things need to change politically and economically. I think when you get beyond that basic set of agreements, that's when the conversations get more interesting.
He says the desire many Cubans in the U.S. have to return gives the diaspora a stake in whatever happens next on the island. And so their opinions and these protests in Miami are important.
You know, I think the role of the Cuban American community is also to listen to Cubans who are on the ground, who themselves have diverse points of view and opinions, including those, it must be recognized, who remain supporters of the government that are there.
He says they are and will remain part of the equation. Outside of Café Versalles, Ana Maria Perez came to protest on behalf of her father, who fled Cuba as a child and never saw his mother again. Perez says though she was born here, she inherited that pain.
It's not enough to say, okay, you're here, move on. It's a wound that doesn't heal because it's not over for us. It continues. We still have family over there. We still have wounds that are still weeping and still bleeding.
She doesn't know what'll happen next in Cuba, but she says she wants to be a part of it. Adrian Florido, NPR News, Miami.
It's crazy because they've never done this before.
not to this extreme. Yeah, this is some of the biggest protests they've seen since the revolution, since Castro revolted against Batista.
Well, I feel like it's a breaking point. We haven't been able to send anything over there. They've been kind of on their own for a minute, right?
Yeah, apparently they haven't been letting them to bring in stuff. I think just recently the president's now allowing travelers to bring stuff in without it being severely taxed. And but that's not going to help. They're gonna either the government has to wake up and change things, or they're gonna have to overthrow that government. And then there's the starting over point, building their democracy or building whatever government they choose. It's just those people have, he said in the story, there's people that still support the government
for sure. But that's why it is so
But those are the ones that probably work directly in the government, so they live better than the people that live out in the country, and.
But that's why it's so monumental that they're taking to the streets to,
because they're not as afraid.
Because they're, I feel like they're at the breaking point.
They're not as afraid because it's either we're going to die starving to death, because literally these people are starving. I've seen video footage of that mother that woke up at I don't know what time in the morning to get to the market early to get into the line because they get their rations. They're only allowed to get a certain amount. But once they run out of food, they close, and not everybody gets food.
Yeah.
And she had to leave her child at home alone, and you hear the desperation in her voice, and she's just screaming. I just need food for my daughter.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad. It's just really sad. And I don't know. I almost feel like the embargo, I understand we don't want to feed to the Cuban regime. We don't want to but it's not helping the people,
Yeah.
And which a lot of people might not think is popular opinion, but I just think that
it's complicated.
It is. It's just those people are starving.
I know it's complicated, but it's the government. But it's the government's fault.
I know it's their fault.
I mean,
but we don't have as strict as sanctions and embargoes in place with other communist countries. We do plenty of business with China, and they're a communist country.
Yeah.
So it's why?
I mean,
that's the part I don't understand.
Yeah. I think there's layers to it. And I'm not very well schooled
in the politics.
Yeah, in the politics to be, very opinionated on it. I don't know.
Yeah, all I know is that whenever I see footage of Cuba and I see how horrible and poor it looks when it used to be such a beautiful city.
Yeah.
It's just so sad.
And then
we can't go in there and take over. We can't do that. As much as we would love to do that, we can't do that. We can't just go in and overthrow the government. Then what?
Yeah.
And then what? Who's going to run Cuba? Us? No.
Yeah, I don't know. Not me. I ain't got time for that shit. There was a word that was thrown out a lot during that.
I had to look it up. Diaspora, right?
Diaspora, yeah.
What the hell was that?
The dispersion of any people from their original homeland. But they kept saying
that's how they kept referring to the Americans here and abroad, not in Cuba. Right. I mean, not the Americans, the Cubans. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cuban Americans. But I'm sure this is, I don't know. I haven't looked to see if other Cubans in other countries are also taking to the streets and protests and stuff.
I mean, here, because there's just such a huge
density
majority.
Population of us here.
It might be a little scarier to go into other places where there's not many Cuban people and be like,
hey, you got that.
I know. There's no Versailles in
here. You can get masses, but you saw those boats that wanted to just straight up go to,
which honestly,
I don't think
Cuba
they went.
Is
they tried
a boat ride away.
It's
from
only
here.
90 miles from Key West.
Yeah,
90 miles. That's not far.
It's not.
And a bunch of people, a bunch of boaters, Miami boaters, were collecting supplies, and they were just ready to take it over there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the Coast Guard was like, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was an intervention in there.
Yeah, I don't think it happened, but they were ready to do it.
I know. I saw a TikTok video where they were just putting stuff on boats and with flags, and
they all met up in the marina over there by Bayfront, I think, and they were ready take off.
I mean, you know, they want to help, but I don't know. It's a lot more complicated.
It's very complicated because they don't have guns. They don't have the right to bear arms, right? So like they have no, unless they can get the military.
They're so inventive.
Unless they can get the military to turn on the government.
But at this point, there's even video out there of like little kids dressed up in military because they're
police. They put the little kids in police uniform and put them in the front of the protest because they know the protesters are gonna. They know the protesters are not going to push over children, young boys, like young preteens and teens.
We're a little nervous.
They didn't know what to do. They kept looking back, like,
boys.
what do I do? Yeah, that's so sad. They put those boys in that.
That's so fucked up. But well, we'll see what the developments are on that. Coming up, interview. Thank you for sticking with us this far. We have the lovely Tokes with Stacy. We talked to Stacy about her podcast. We talked to her about being a pot smoking mom and all kinds of stuff. Please, hope you enjoyed this interview.
I think you've been on a little longer. Like we started a year ago, like right when COVID first happened. So my girlfriend was like, "You want to do a podcast?" And I was like, "What's that?" Because I always wanted to do like stream reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, "What's a podcast?" I don't listen to the radio that much. So she was like, "Oh, it's the radio." So yeah, it's kind of like
the new radio.
But pre-recorded.
The radio you can choose what to listen to.
Exactly, and find stuff that are of interest to you. Now that you're actually doing podcasts, has that changed? Have you found an interest in listening to more podcasts, or no, you still don't?
Yes, I've listened to yours. I love you guys. I was like, I just listen. You guys sent me this stuff and want to know why I want to be on. I just want to be on with you guys. Like, I
just a chance to hang out.
I'm being real.
Hang out. You guys can talk about 90 Day Fiance and Teen Mom OG. We know you're into all that.
Yeah.
You got one of your podcasts is about reality TV, right?
Reality TV. It's an obsession.
What draws you in? What draws you guys in? Because she's into TV reality show. I'm not so much. Like, I'll entertain it, but what draws you guys in so much?
For me, I think I started when MTV first had The Real World. I was like, I love this. They're following people around. I don't know why I wanted to watch their life, but I did. And I've been watching ever since. So when we started talking about the shows, I was like, we do this shit anyway, like all the time. So I love it.
Man, I really used to love MTV back in the day when they did The Real World, when they did the Road Rules challenges and all that stuff. That used to be fun.
They still do
Recording in progress.
They still do it.
That voice always trips me out.
I didn't know that I was going to say anything. I was like, let me record this just in case.
I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, you always feel like,
I feel like MTV has some of the best reality shows. I mean, they're the ones that really started it.
Right?
They were the pioneers, I would say.
The OGs, yes. The Real World, New York, I believe.
They're coming back. Didn't they come back? They're actually they brought them back. Yeah, the same cast now.
They did. It was on Paramount?
Yeah, I think so. I'd be really interested in seeing that because I mean, honestly, that's really one of the only Real Worlds I saw. Like, I watched. I watched that one. I think the Miami one because obviously we're in Miami, and we watched
that one.
The Keys one, the Key West one, and the Hawaii one. But like after a while,
I know.
It's a lot though.
But the reality show TV shows that I watch are usually the same cast, and I'm literally watching this family or these group of people grow up or like their lives change on television. Like I've been watching the Teen Moms since they were on 16 and Pregnant. So you see them have the babies, and now the babies are 10 years old, 11 years old. Like it's crazy. You've seen these kids grow up.
Absolutely. Like I was pregnant at the same time because I'm going on 44 this year, but I had my kids in my 30s. So I was pregnant at the same time watching these girls. So I've watched Amber's kids grow up and Janelle and all the kids. So same drama.
Do you guys follow them on
still
social media and
going
stuff
through
too?
I do. On my personal Instagram, I totally follow, but only the ones I like. Only the ones I like. The ones that annoy me, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to see them on my feed.
I hate her. Unfollow. I agree.
There's some of them that I like. I really like. They like you start to actually care about these people and what happens to them, and you're like, and it's weird. Like their lives are so strange. They were so young and thrown into the spotlight. Like,
don't you think though that there's a lot of damage that happens there?
So much damage. Do you listen to
what's
any of their
different now,
podcasts? Any of the moms' podcasts?
Do you know what's different? Like right now, it's like it's more glamorized a little bit. You notice how before they were going through it, they couldn't pay the rent. Now they got
mansions. Not mansions, but nice big houses with land.
Probably
I'm building my house, new construction. Like they got money now.
Probably because they were like sick of
Make it
being
look
exploited.
good to have a baby.
No, but not only that, like, yeah, now MTV has to pay them because they make so much money off of them. And then on top of that, they have their own side businesses and stuff where they make their money because they have a huge following, like millions of people follow them. Anything they do, people are going to buy it.
Anything.
Why aren't we TV reality shows, bro?
We need a pot-smoking moms reality show. Follow different moms around the country that are cannabis consumption.
We smoke weed and watch TV. What?
So, Stacy, how long have you been consuming cannabis?
Ooh. I was like 17.
That's like me.
17. Do you remember the first time you smoked?
It was definitely some street weed.
It always is.
I was hungry.
Back when we were that young, of course it was street weed.
Shit, some of our friends still getting that street weed.
Yeah, I know. I can't go back, guys. I wake up with nightmares sometimes about it. Like
we're spoiled now.
No,
we're spoiled.
We are definitely spoiled.
Yeah. So, what are your what do you use cannabis for? How does it help you?
So, well, first I have got thyroid when I had my daughter. And I have the autoimmune Hashimoto's with it. So it's like attacks my thyroid. So I get a lot of the same symptoms you would get with hypothyroid. So energy. I have nausea like all the time. So, and I also have arthritis. I don't know. And I refuse to be like getting old.
Yeah.
Because I like to do aerobic and Zumba dance and stuff. Like workouts. And it hurts now. It hurts.
It helps with recovery.
Cannabis helps.
Yeah,
it helps a lot. I forget about it. And the next day you're like, ow, that shit hurts.
So how old are your kids?
My daughter's turning 12 and my son's turning 7.
And are they aware of your cannabis use? Are you open with your family about it, or are you a mom in the closet?
So my son doesn't really understand it like that. But my daughter, she kind of popped the question on me one day, and I couldn't lie to her. But what was good about it was that I was going to my thyroid doctor, and I took her with me, and he was asking me oh, well, how are you doing with this, and how you doing with that? And I said, well, I use cannabis for mostly everything, and I used to call them a lot when I first had it, because I had a lot of symptoms and I wasn't using cannabis, and I had it for 10 years because 12 years. My daughter's 12. And so now it's been years since I go every year, and then I don't see him for a year. So I'm like, I know you notice I don't call you anymore or ask to get my blood done or anything. He's like, yeah, what are you doing? So I told him the year before. Sorry, this conversation took place the year before. I was telling him that. Well, when I came back and I brought her in, he was like, well, how's that going? And I told him it was still going well. And he was retiring to get into cannabis. I was like,
there you go. He knows where it's going.
Wow.
Yes, Dr. Lee. So yeah, he's gone now, and I'm sad because I had the same person for almost 12 years.
And that's a good. And if he was in that mindset, a lot of people have problems with their doctors because the doctors are still not really there either. So it's a privilege to have like a doctor who's all for plant use too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He listened to me and he was like, oh, really? And then the next thing, he was like, you think they're listening, but they're not. So when I was walking out, he was like, thanks for teaching me something. And this guy, I was like, what? Okay. Well, thank you. Made my whole damn day. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, Dr. Lee, thank you. So for now on, I just started, before that, I've always talked about it being medicine and not a drug. But I converted my mom. She never smoked cannabis in her life. And she started at 66. She's 68, medical card holder.
Was she completely against it?
How did you approach that?
Yeah.
Like, how did it happen?
I got her with the edibles at first.
Yeah, there you go.
They won't smoke them at first.
There you go.
I was like, Mom,
So
forget that, that you're always hurting. She doesn't like, opiates. I'm like, and I know who likes opiates. So I'm like, just try this. And she did. And now, some of the family ain't happy, but.
So other family members of yours were
happy.
upset? Other family members of you were upset for exposing her to cannabis and getting her into it?
I don't know. They don't admit it. But I have an older sis that isn't, she hears what I'm saying, but she don't hear what I'm saying.
Right. She's trying to be supportive, but she still has her hang-ups about what other people have put in her ear about it.
Period. And it's like, okay, I'm trying to tell you that you need to educate yourself a little bit because come on. It's okay for everybody to drink, but she doesn't drink either. But anyway,
she's
it's okay for everybody to drink, but it's not okay for people to smoke. And you are conscious. You can smoke a whole bunch and know what is going on, in any moment in your house. You know what I mean? Like since my kids have been born, I haven't taken like a Benadryl or anything like that to go to sleep. Like I'm scared to not be aware in the middle of the night if something happens. So weed, I'm totally aware. I wake up at a pin drop.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with you 100% there for sure. Well, how much
smoke again, but I'm going back to sleep.
How much did you give your mom when you started her on it?
She's a lightweight. She's eats them little 5 gummies. And then
a 5 milligram?
Like a 5 milligram bunny?
You gave her, is that what you gave her the first time? I'm just asking just in case
she wants to dose her mom.
No.
But
wait, 5 milligrams?
I would say start with low.
Like I was even gonna split a 5. But you didn't tell her before you gave it to her?
No, or did she know?
She knew.
Okay.
But I mean, I was like, listen, it's like nothing. Trust me, it's low. Just try it. And she liked it.
And what? Okay.
She liked it.
So then
she didn't admit it at first.
Did she get? Could you tell that she felt different or what did you?
She was more of a drinker when she would, not drink, but when she would go out, she would be a drinker. So it was like, now she doesn't drink at all. Just, she don't even think about it. Not just because I said, don't drink, Mom, but because she don't choose it, I guess.
Did she
she chooses our stuff.
Well,
go the right
way. Smarter.
It's the right
smarter
way.
way.
I put the spell on her.
But what does she?
I got her cooking and everything. Y'all know if you guys.
Are you serious?
She's baking and stuff. She makes edibles and she's all about it.
She's all about it. And I thought her edibles were BS, right? I thought they were BS, and she got me with this Fruity Pebble. Because look, she made some other ones the first time around. I said, this ain't shit. Like I was eating a gummy bear, and I was like, this is nothing. Anyway, I had to eat like 3 of them to even feel anything. My tolerance is high,
Yeah. Well.
But she makes this Fruity Pebble. So I'm thinking, this is nothing. And I eat the whole thing. And it ruined Mother's Day.
Oh my God. Why? What happened?
I fell asleep. You guys ever fall asleep and wake up groggy and just pissy? It was too much.
Yeah.
I said, damn, Mom, I'll never, ever doubt you again. I swear to God. I'm good. I should have only took a piece of it.
But that's I ruined Mother's Day because she fell asleep.
You needed that sleep, probably.
I woke up
had that been alcohol, that would have been way worse result, probably. So,
Facts.
I mean, if that's the worst that can happen.
I noticed your
alcohol,
Mickey
I wouldn't
shirt.
have woke up. Mom, I'm like,
It is cute.
I was noticing your Mickey shirt.
It's really cute.
You're a
With
Disney
the
fan.
leopard print.
Kohl's. I love Kohl's.
Really? That's a cute shirt.
Have you been to Disney? Have you been to Disney World?
No.
Oh,
I
girl,
lived through it through Kohl's.
you gotta change that. Come
You
down
haven't
to
gone
Florida.
for real? You haven't gone to Disney World?
I mean,
I've
we
never-
are
I
freaking
figured,
spoiled.
like-
we live right
Okay, I've
there.
never been on a plane. I'm not gonna lie, guys.
Oh.
It's on my bucket list.
Where do you want to go first?
I'm like, where I don't know. There's nowhere I just like want to go, but Florida's nice, and so the kids are old enough to remember it. And I always wanted to make sure they were going to be old enough, so they're at a good age now.
Yeah,
So I'm
7
gonna
and
be
12.
Oh my God, they
if
would
you wait
love
any
it.
longer, they're gonna be graduating college and not ever going to Disney
the
World.
one-
And
Like, I
Disney
don't
would never
know
be.
about a
It won't be
princess,
as
Mom.
magical. Disney's not as magical, I guess, when you're older. Even though I'm an adult and I still love it, and I feel like it's magic every time I go.
I know a lot of
You
adults.
guys are so lucky. You're like there.
We are. We take it for granted. We're extremely lucky.
Yeah, but it is also very expensive. Like
It's
a lot
ridiculous
of people
expensive.
like to be
even with the resident discount.
Yeah, because you still have to pay to
How much?
Well,
It's like to get in.
it's like over
What's
$100 and something per park per day if you're just like a non-resident coming down, whatever. For residents, the best deal is to go at the beginning of the year. They always do a package deal where you can get 3 to 4 days at the parks.
Yeah, for
Okay.
$200.
And they're like,
Like
it's
$50
usually
a
like
day.
150. It's like $50 a day. It comes out to like $50 a
So
day.
you do 4 days and it comes out to $50 because you drop $200,
and you have
but you get 4
6
days.
months to use the days. So you can go for just 2 days and then go back again within 6 months to go another 2 days. So
Okay.
like you could spread out the days if you're close enough, or you can go off 4 days on one vacation. But I'm a pass holder and I give Disney way too much money. I do.
Damn, we're just trying to get there once. Down here. in
We're
Maryland.
thinking about planning a mom's trip there for next year.
Oh, that would be so much fun if we can get all the stoner
Moms
moms
only,
out there.
moms
Oh my
only, no
God.
kids.
Yeah, no
Moms
kids.
Yeah.
go stoner.
Well,
Canna moms go
that's
wild in
awesome.
Disney. Pop smoking moms in Disney.
I know, right? We can't call too much attention to ourselves.
No, we're not going to go in with pot leaves on our shirt.
I mean, we could. It's just as
No,
long as
you
it's-
can't. It's
you
Disney
can't.
World.
You can't go with.
And
punk.
yeah, how
I
are
bet
they
you if
anything?
we
So
did-
can you do the pens or anything?
No, you cannot. You have to hide in a bathroom stall like a criminal.
Like a criminal.
Can you get them in the gate?
You got to sneak them in.
All right.
They
So
will
it's
not.
doable.
They will not. They will not let you bring it in if they see it. It's not allowed. They actually closed even regular cigarette smoking spots because they had designated areas throughout the park where people that could smoke their cigarettes,
Right.
which is where I would go to smoke my vape pen because people are already smoking. But then they closed those down, so now I have to like be in the bathroom stall, like hitting the vape pen
with
real
a
quick
sploofy.
and like waving away the vapor so nobody sees it coming out of the stall.
That's me all the time. Everywhere.
Wouldn't that be funny if like you met someone in a Disney stall doing the same thing as you?
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't
Are we best friends?
I know.
We are best friends.
So funny. We have
That
to
would be
take.
fun.
Yeah.
That never happens to me. Listen, I don't know if you guys ever been here to Maryland.
No.
I love my city.
I've
I love my
driven
state.
through, but
But I've never been to Florida. I have been to North Carolina, South Carolina. They are very friendly there. Not saying we're not friendly, but we I don't know.
Miami's
There was-
not
there is a
friendly.
very friendly aura there. Is it like that in Florida?
Miami's not friendly. No.
Okay, I didn't think.
Where
Yeah,
we
I
are,
had
it's
heard that
definitely
before.
not friendly. I mean, you can find friendly people, but
Yeah.
it's not like the Southern
it's
hospitality.
like
that-
everybody is very consumed with themselves kind of
Yes.
situation. You know,
Yeah. How's
Uh,
the beach there? Out, yeah. I'd be a
it's
little
nice.
intimidated
beaches
on
are
the
gorgeous.
beach.
We have some
in
of the, we
Miami.
have the best beaches in this country.
oh wow,
We do.
yeah.
The West Coast especially.
I mean, I've never
Is
seen
it a
any
bunch
other
of like
beach,
hot
but-
bodies?
I mean, you go to Hollywood. That's where we
There's
go.
all bodies.
There's all bodies. All
Gotcha.
kinds of
Okay.
them.
Well, they make it. You see a certain way on TV.
Yeah.
They glamorize South Beach.
But you
like it's-
guys, like, TV is TV. Even your TV reality shows. I am so sorry, my
Bro,
loves.
even in
It
Teen
is all
Mom,
an act.
Anytime Teen Mom comes anywhere in South Florida, it's Miami. And I'm watching and I'm like, that's not Miami. I can see that that's not Miami.
Yeah, it's usually like maybe
that's
like
like Hollywood. That's like
Sarasota.
Sunny Isles. That's like
They're lying.
they're like, oh, it's Miami.
Well, because everybody can.
We're all like, wow,
They make the
Miami.
connection. Yeah. Well, everybody makes a connection. I tell someone I'm from Hollywood, Florida. They're like, what? Or like Miami. They're like, oh, okay.
They're like, they're in Fort Lauderdale.
Or Hialeah, Florida. What? Miami. Oh, okay. Like,
Same thing. I was like, what?
I think you would do very, very well here. Very well. If you say
I
that
think I need to be where it is hot all the time. Like, is it really warm all the time, or is that fake?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It is super hot here all the time.
oh, it's hot as fucking
There's
Satan's
like
butthole.
3 weeks out of the year that it's cold.
Well, today it was supposed to be like 105 here. Yeah, we're getting it. Like, it hasn't been a normal, like even the 80s. It's been 90 something, 100.
Hey man, global warming, baby.
The country's been on fire. Like a lot of places have well over the hundreds.
Every year it's worse and worse. But but global warming's not a thing. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, like when I bought the pool pass, I didn't know I wasn't gonna be able to come out for it. Like, damn, you melt at the pool. 105?
You can't even get there.
And that was our interview with Stacy. You can find her on Instagram at Tokes with Stacy or at Moms Talking. Well, it's Moms Talking sh_T podcast.
Like the eyes, the underscore.
Or her website. She got a pretty bougie website. momstalkingshit.com.
It's a
yeah.
nice website.
It is a very nice website. So check her out. It was real fun to talk to her. We are so glad that you have spent your time with us. We know that there's very many options of podcasts out there, but we're glad that you listen to ours. We have wonderful sponsors, Yanni Reyes, Destiny Adams, Lauren Hadsel, Jesse Reyes, Christy Rodriguez, April Collins, Terry Grimsley, Shelby Gleckler, Denise Caceres, and Liza. Thank you guys for being patrons. We love talking to you on Patreon. Become a patron for early access to episodes, additional content, full uncut versions of our interviews. We also have Zoom smoke sessions and all kinds of fun stuff. So check out our Patreon. Also check out us Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on Instagram Live. Join us. Maybe you could talk to us about your viewpoints. You know, we like to have open discussions.
Yeah, let us know what you thought about whatever we discussed tonight, the new bill, the Cuban protests.
Tell us what's on your mind. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and share our content. If you got a website you need to go to, it's potsmokingmoms.com. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.